words. So everybody get your pen and paper out, get your ears ready and ready to be motivated and inspired. Because I have been for the last couple of days, thanks to Rebekah. So, okay, here we go.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, Rebekah.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm super excited to share tonight. I've been kind of, just, where do I even start? I guess I'll start with the title of it because it kind of incorporates everything that I've been going through and studying and really trying to figure out. I'm excited to share with you guys tonight because I feel like it's just wisdom that I've gleaned, that I'm walking through right now, things I'm working out in my own life. And if it can encourage somebody else, then that's awesome. So we're going to talk about harvest, but we're going to do that in kind of a different way. So I entitled this Your Harvest and the Beauty of Discipline. Now, discipline, yuck, I know it's like the nasty 4-letter word, at least it has been for me. And I don't like the word. And I don't think other people really do either. If you look it up in the dictionary, the very first definition that you'll see of discipline is this. I'm going to read it to you. It says, the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. So immediately there's this emphasis on the negative impact that you'll have if you don't have discipline, if you don't do something, if you don't obey, if you don't follow the rules, if you don't do the work, if you don't behave the right way. I mean, there's this negative connotation. So it's no wonder, that most of us hate discipline. So, we feel with discipline that we need it. We know that it has to be a good thing somehow because we feel the need for it in our lives. We need to be disciplined when it comes to our finances. We need to be disciplined in our behavior, in our jobs, right? So we feel like we have this, this sense of knowing that we need discipline, but why? Well, it's because without discipline, you'll never have what you desire. You'll never really have what the core of you longs for. We won't live the life that we're created to live or be able to accomplish the things that we're designed to do without discipline. It's crucial in our lives. So let's take a deeper look into what discipline is tonight, because I had to do that for me. I have hated that word. It's been kind of hanging over my head, and I figured that there were some areas in my life that I was lacking it, even though I didn't want to admit it. We'll get into that later. But I want to look at it in a different light because there's a very different definition of truly what discipline is. And the world has skewed it to become something very negative, and it was never meant to be that. So I want to take a look at what discipline means from, the one who created discipline, who created it. The Bible for me is the blueprint of my life. It's the blueprint for my relationships. It's the blueprint for my marriage. It's the blueprint for the role I have as a mom and a wife and a friend. It's the blueprint for every part of me. And I believe that God, who's the creator of all things, and his definition of discipline matters most to me, more than what, Mr. Webster says in the dictionary. So we're going to take a look at that first tonight, and it's defined in a whole new way. So in the book of Hebrews in the Bible, in chapter 12, it talks about God's discipline as a form of correction, but not solely because we did something wrong, but it's for our ultimate good. So it's a form of correction resulting in good. And that's important to remember. It says in chapter 12 in verse 10 and 11 that, but God's discipline is always good for us. It's always good for us so that we might share in his holiness. No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's painful, right? But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. So discipline results in, well, we'll get into that, but discipline results in something good, okay? Discipline results in something good. So discipline, being disciplined, having discipline, living a disciplined life. These are all terms that we use and throw around and we know we need, but it's all for our good. That's what's most important to remember about it. So let's look at how discipline fits into our everyday life and really how it brings about that good that's promised to us, because that's a promise. It's a truth. So how do we have that good in our lives? When you dig deeper into the meaning of the word discipline, there's a second definition that pops up. most of us skim over it, I think. We take that first one and we're like, oh, it's discipline, it's punishment, I wasn't doing something right. But man, if you dig deeper, this is what you find. Discipline is defined as this: to train oneself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. To train oneself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. An activity or experience that provides mental and physical training. So discipline requires action. Don't we talk about that with our clients and our challengers and even our coaches? You have to have action. Good intentions and goals are awesome to have, but you'll never reach them. You'll never accomplish what you want unless you couple that with action, right? It's the action that you take towards your goal that ultimately leads to success. Setting a goal is the first step, but acting on that and moving towards that goal is what brings about success in your life. So it's the action, same for us, it's the action behind our goals that we set for ourselves, for our teams, for our own businesses, that moves us forward and allows us to accomplish goals. And furthermore, it's the discipline, the controlled and habitual way we act each day that yields the results. So you cannot have results without action, and action comes from being disciplined. It stems with being disciplined. So discipline, we can say, creates habits. We all want habits. A habit is just defined as a regular tendency or practice, especially one that's hard to give up. So we've all, 21-day fix, develop great healthy habits in 21 days, break old, bad habits and, create new ones. So habits are something that's just, it's repetitive. It's something that it's hard to give up. You do over and over and over again, right? So we want good habits. We want those to be in our lives so that we do the good over and over and over again. A habit is a practice. Another word for it is routine or the norm. It's a rule or the matter of course, your course of action, right? So discipline creates habits, routines, or the norm. And this is what I have truly been desiring in my life and in my business. When I stopped teaching and decided to stay home with my kids, I didn't realize how out of the norm I would feel. I knew it would be different, but I didn't realize how I was so ingrained to have my day be a certain way when it wasn't. I actually didn't know what to do with myself or my time. And I had to train myself and teach myself, and through a lot of trial and error, honestly, what was going to work for me and my family, and being home with my son, doing preschool with him and sending my daughter to school and working Beachbody business and still being wife and mom and, all that kind of stuff. And so I needed a routine that worked for me. And Kim and I still talk about that occasionally. I'm like, okay, tried this. I don't think it's really there yet, but it's better than it was. And so there's some trial and error, but it makes sense to me now why it's so important to find the right routine, because that's your habits. That's your daily habits that you're going to be doing. And if it's the wrong routine, if it's the wrong habits, it's not going to yield the results that you want. So having the right habits and routines creates your norm. So I need good habits. I need the right routine in my life, and I need them to be my norm. That's ultimately my goal. So we know that discipline's for our good, okay? Discipline creates habits, which give us our norm. They give us our everyday routine. And a routine, remember, is just simply a sequence of actions. It's the action that you regularly follow. It's your schedule. It's your plan of action that you take. So let me grab my water. My voice is better, but okay. So we need discipline because we need good habits. We need a routine that becomes our norm, right? So discipline is what creates the habits. We have to have it because it creates the habits, gives us our daily routine. We must have discipline, and these good habits and these daily routines, that's what gives us our harvest. You can't get to the harvest without the discipline. You can't get to the harvest without the good habits. You can't get to the harvest without your daily, normal routine of good habits, right? So that's where harvest comes in. Sorry. Now, we all want harvest, right? Harvest means a different, thing to so many of us. But when we all became coaches, it was for a whole bunch of different reasons. We all have one thing in common. We all get something for what we do. There is a harvest that comes in. For me personally, when I became a coach, I really wanted to stay home with my kids. So we needed income to do that. That was at the forefront of why I became a coach, along with the fact that I wanted and I craved friendships. I was without them in my life. They were missing in my life because my focus had been work and home and work and home, and I missed out on having friendships. So I needed that. I needed that community. I also wanted to have a greater impact on the world, and I felt that I was making being a music teacher. I felt like there was more inside of me that I wanted to give, that I wanted to walk in, but I felt stuck in the position that I was at to do that. So I resigned from teaching. And, I desperately needed peace in my life at the time. I mean, my world was a chaotic mess. It was full of stress. It was full of worry. I needed peace. I needed order. And it was full of missed times with my kids and missed times with my husband, and just extremely busy. Because of all of that chaotic mess, my health was suffering. So enter Beachbody, right? So I knew that Beachbody was going to be an avenue for my health, but it was all of those other things combined. So my harvest that I needed from this whole Beachbody experience were these things. It was finances. It was a harvest of relationships. It was a harvest of influence and order. And ultimately, it was a harvest of peace. I needed that in my life. So I've seen this harvest come in different ways, but it's not yet what I know it should be, what it could be, and what I believe I should have. I believe that for all of us. I believe that for my team. Whatever their harvest is, I know the potential that this Beachbody business has. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, because I had to ask myself these questions. Do you find yourself questioning, why is it taking so long for me to reach this goal? Do you find yourself wondering why you start out of the gate just full on, headstrong at the beginning of the month, and then towards the end of the month, you feel like you're crawling to the finish line? Do you ever feel like that? Or maybe you feel like Jekyll and Hyde, where, at one point it's like everything is just peaceful and orderly and your business is going well and everything seems to be falling into place. And then the next minute you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm floundering around and there's mass chaos and I have no idea what I'm doing and I have no idea, what just happened. Do you ever feel like that? There's this pull back and forth. I've totally just described myself to you. I mean, this has been my crazy coach journey for the past 2.5 years. And it's not that it's been bad. It's just been my journey. It's been a roller coaster. Lots of great highs, some ucky valleys that I've had to walk through, but that's what it's been for me. But the cool thing about all of this is that I can look back and I can see that journey and the experiences that I've had as a coach. And I know now truly what I need to do in order to have the harvest that I desire and have the harvest that I want for both my business and for my life. Because for me, I can't separate the two. Beachbody becomes a part of your life, right? It's hard to compartmentalize your Beachbody business because it is so much part of your everyday life. So I know what I need to do now. And it goes beyond the simple daily vital behaviors that are absolutely super important. We must do them. But that's not all we need to do in order to have a harvest that we're desiring. Because I know this team. I know there are so many of you on here that have great big goals and dreams and a desire to reach so many people. You have a heart of gold that you desire so much, not just for yourself, but for your family and for others and other coaches on your team. So I know the harvest that we see in our minds, and I know that it's frustrating when we don't see that harvest yet. So remember, let's go talk about discipline again. So remember that the description of discipline that I read earlier in Hebrews. So it says, no discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's painful, right? But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. And for me, who is looking for peace in her life, that jumps out to me like nothing else. But afterwards, after we've received that discipline, we follow through with that discipline, we are disciplined, you receive a peaceful harvest of right living. So discipline ultimately brings peace. If we're patient and we're able to delay that instant gratification for a long-term reward, then we're going to have peace in our hearts. If we don't have discipline, then you're faced with the opposite of peace. You have tension, you have stress, you have worry, you have anxiety, there's this restlessness. Discipline is often the first step to curing all of that unsettled feeling that we feel in our soul. So, do you feel stressed out? Do you feel worried each month that your business goals aren't being met, that you're not signing up enough coaches, that you're not getting your coaches started right, that you're not getting your Success Club points? There's all of this stuff that's just causing stress. You feel like you're not doing enough. It's that you're falling under the weight of it. Perhaps you lack peace because you lack discipline. And good habits and daily routines are the things that produce the peaceful harvest. Discipline are the habits and the daily routines, right? That's what develops those that produce the peaceful harvest. So let me say this. We need discipline, but we also need passion. And I have to couple the two. You've got to have them work hand in hand, because without passion, without the heart behind what we do, it's hard to be disciplined at it. But if you don't have the discipline and you just have all heart, it doesn't work either. Most of us tend to lead with one or the other more. But if you lead with just one, both paths, they lead to burnout. Either you're so passionate, but nothing's happening because you're not disciplined in doing what you need to do, but you've got all heart, nothing's happening, you're going to lead to burnout. Or you are so disciplined and you are doing what you need to do every single day, and there's not a heart behind it. People don't relate to that. They don't respond to that. So you're going to burn out because there's still no harvest in that. But you have to marry the two. So passion is awesome. Passion is a beautiful thing. But passion means that we let our emotions take the path and lead us down a path. And our emotions alone by themselves make an absolutely terrible compass. They just do. You can't trust them, up and down. So discipline and passion, they've got to function together. And they have to function together in our lives, in our businesses, every part of it. So what I found that in the moments when I allow discipline to be the catalyst, that thing that shoots me off and gets me started, I find that passion shows up and takes over. So let me give you an example. Something that's really important to me, something that I am determined to do right now, is to wake up earlier than I get up and have some quiet time in my Bible before the kids get up and before my day is started. Having my quiet time in the morning, it keeps me grounded. I feel like it kind of sets the tone for my day. And my alarm goes off and I'm laying in that bed and I so do not want to get up. I don't want to do it. I'm warm, I'm cozy, I don't want to get up. But discipline is what gets me out of bed. And I begin reading the Word of God. I feel like He speaks truth into my life. And then I'm fired up and I'm so thankful that I got out of bed because passion takes over. So discipline initially was the catalyst to get me going, but passion took over the rest of that desire to be in His presence. So putting everything together, all that we've talked about so far in this call, let me give you one big conclusive definition of discipline, and then we're really going to talk about harvest. Okay, so discipline is the catalyst for passion. It's what gets us going, right? Towards passion. It's the key to our strength. We need discipline for strength. And discipline is refusing to settle for what we want temporarily so that we can have what we want ultimately. Discipline is what creates the habits that give us our normal everyday routine. And it's these good habits and routines that will cause and produce a harvest. Okay? So I want to encourage you to not look at discipline any longer with this negative connotation, but don't see it as punishment or a set of rules that you have to follow, but see it as that missing link that you need that will give you physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual strength in your life. Remind yourself that if you remain disciplined, you will reap a harvest. It's a spiritual law. If you are disciplined, you will reap a harvest. Okay? So let's talk about practical application, because we've already learned how it's the action, right, that is going to change things in our life. It's going to give us that harvest. We have to act. So how can you practically apply discipline in your life, to your business, that's going to produce the harvest that you desire? Okay. So first and foremost, you absolutely have to take a very truthful, honest look in the mirror and be completely honest with yourself. And I can say this from personal experience because this is exactly what I had to do. I just talked with Kim last night and I was like, you know what? This is what I'm lacking. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I desire. And now I know why I'm not there. It was a good look. It was a good wake-up call for me because it actually brought a lot of peace into my life, knowing that I can fix it now. There's things I can do. It's an answer, I guess. But I just want to ask you a couple of questions. So when you take a look in the mirror, I want you to really look at yourself, your business, the way you've scheduled and structured your life right now with your Beachbody business in there. So, what do you see? Why do you think you aren't seeing your harvest? Are you playing the blame game? Are you blaming other people for your lack? Are you allowing the success of other people to derail you? Now, the success of others can be super inspiring, but it can also derail you. So success can inspire you when it brings about the right action for you, and it allows you to grow and encourages you to grow and to change, to become better. But success of others can also really derail you because you can stray off course and you spend so much time looking at what they have, and you might desire that same thing too, but you're looking at what they've accomplished and what they have already and all of this stuff that it causes you to want to give up. It can derail you from your course. You have to give yourself a reality check. Now, I am by no means saying don't dream, because I am a huge dreamer. I've got big dreams and goals set for myself. Do that. Go for those big goals. Go for those big dreams. But do so realizing that there's a season to everything. And while we don't understand why harvests for some people come in a lot earlier, I do know the principles of a harvest. So let's talk a little bit about that. There's a season to everything when it comes to harvesting. You plant, you nurture, you care for your seed, and then you see a harvest. You can't neglect discipline and expect to have a huge harvest when you're not taking care of your own field, because you're so busy looking at how green somebody else's field is over there. If you take your eyes off your own field and are more concerned with theirs and what they have, your field will die, your plants will die, your seeds will die. So, like I've heard so many coaches say, put on those blinders. Yes, acknowledge them, encourage them, be inspired by them, but make sure that you stay the course and you take care of your own field, okay? So there's always going to be external circumstances we know that we can't control. Okay, just like a farmer, he can't control the weather that comes, he has to deal with it. We can't control how people react. We can't control how people respond or how they don't respond. And we can't control if people follow through or not with what we're asking them to do or what they've committed and they said they would do. We can't control any of that. But you need to be honest with yourself first and look at yourself and then go from there and make the changes necessary. So once I did that with myself, these were the changes that I felt I had to do absolutely first before I felt like I could really pay attention to my harvest the way I was supposed to. First, I have to prioritize. I have to prioritize. When I look at myself and I accept the responsibility and the reality that, that I saw in front of me, I realized that I didn't have my priorities correctly. And priorities for each person are going to be different. So you have to do this on an individual basis. My priorities may not be yours. Your priorities may not be the same as your coach's. You have to find what is right for you. So take a look at your life and set your priorities. Okay, we're going to go with the field thing. So it's like trying to grow crops in your field without first preparing your field. Okay. If you don't prepare your field for, with fertile soil, then your seeds won't take. So for me, preparing my field means I get up and I spend some time in the morning with the Lord, and I'm ready to start my day. It's that simple, yet for me, very profound act that I do every day that keeps, or how do I put this? It's that simple act, that step that I was neglecting and I was missing. I had kind of glazed over. I was doing it for a while and then I kind of got busy and got away from it. But it was that simple act that I was neglecting, that I know works and how critical it is, that I was missing. So when I start to put that as a priority, then everything fits. When I don't do it, I am not filled with God's love. I'm not filled, or I can't see things from His perspective. And I don't have His wisdom, which means I can't handle the things that come my way with love or wisely at all. I'm going more off of my own selfishness and my own emotions rather than taking a step back and looking at things in the big picture. It's like trying to fill another person's bucket. You've heard of that, right? When you're building a relationship or you're building somebody up. We build relationships all the time with people, yet we can't build a proper relationship with people and really pour into them like we do as coaches if we're not being poured into ourselves. So for me, I've got to have my bucket filled up, because if I don't have my bucket filled up, I can't fill anyone else's bucket. No matter how much I want to, no matter how much I try, it's not going to work. There's nothing there of worth to give. That's how I feel about my time, my quiet time in the morning. So my priority absolutely has to be spending time with my Creator. That sets the tone for my whole entire day. It gives me wisdom. It gives me strategy. It gives me the perspective I need to handle every situation and everything that comes my way. Helps me handle it with grace, helps me handle it with integrity and with truth. And I'm absolutely determined that my field will have fertile soil for the seeds that I plant every day. Otherwise, the work that I do and the seeds that I plant every day will not be put on fertile soil, and it's almost as if I've done it for nothing. I find that when I take that time and I prioritize that time, my day runs 100% better, without question, every time. That's my priority. And I also need to take responsibility for my health again. I will be very honest with you. It's the fall, and I am falling into hibernation mode, and I don't want to be there. But I've strayed from what I absolutely know I need to do to make sure that I'm healthy and fit. I've put some unnecessary pounds back on. I'm losing some definition and tone that I had worked so stinking hard to get by the summer. And I'm waking up with headaches. I'm waking up tired again. I know that that's not me. That's not how I should be. So I know, even though I want to hide, that's not going to help anything. It's not going to solve a problem. It's not going to get me out of how I feel. So I have to take responsibility for my own health and fitness again. I've been really focused on building a business, on making sure everyone else around me is taken care of and my team is thriving and everybody's, feeling accepted and doing what they should, all this kind of stuff that I've really neglected myself again. So for me, prioritizing my health is what needs to go at the top of my list, because I need to get back to that. So I know it's a silly metaphor with the whole farmer thing, but think of it this way. So if you're a farmer and you get sick, there's no one to take care of your field. There's no one who's going to tend to your seeds. The weeds are going to take over. The wind's going to blow some away. They're going to be gone for good. Think about that in terms of your business. If you fall off and are gone for a while, for whatever reason, your seeds that you've planted don't hear from you, don't see from you. They're going to be blown away into someone else's field. Perhaps they're going to fall on fertile soil there and be planted and sprout and grow. If your seeds aren't tended to, they're going to be choked out by the weeds, okay? And they're going to die. The relationship that you started to build will no longer be there because you've lost trust with them. You said you're going to be there and you're not. You've got to think about it that way. So as silly as it may sound, there's a lot of great truth to the whole harvest season planting thing with what we do. We see a lot of our conversations as seeds planted, just keep exposure after exposure. It's those seeds that you're planting that hopefully will produce a harvest of some kind. So my health has to get back on track because it's not just affecting my health, but it's affecting my business because my health is my business. Okay, so I need to finish up here, so you have to prioritize. You need to put whatever you need to put at the top of your list, that thing that's going to cause everything else to fall into place in its proper order, okay? What this is going to do is it's going to produce peace in your life and allow you to function with joy and with confidence, okay? So next you need to simplify. You've got to simplify things. Keep things simple. And I am so guilty of this. I overcomplicate things. Yes, you need to do the work and you need to do your power hour and send your messages and, but don't overthink things and don't overcomplicate things when you do that. Put practices into place, those good habits that we talked about. Put practices into place to ensure that you don't get stuck doing the simplest of tasks because you've blown it out of proportion in your mind. Use your success partner. Please use your success partner for this. I do all the time. Ask them, am I making this harder on myself than it is? Ask them, okay, do I really need to do this now or is it something that I need to do later? Or, just what do I really need to do right now? Just ask your success partner. They're there for you for that. They are somebody who knows your goals, who knows your dreams, who knows you better than anyone else when it comes to this business. So ask them to help you keep things simple and then listen to them. Having someone else's perspective who knows you, understands you, gets your dreams and goals, it's going to keep you focused on what's important and it's going to help you let go of the things that really aren't. That's going to drag you down, okay? They'll help you keep things simple. So talk to your success partner. And then last, you need to remind yourself to be unapologetically you. You must be you. In everything you do, be you. In everything you say, be you. Please don't confuse this though. Don't confuse this with an excuse to not grow or not to change because you have so much to offer. And don't ever think that you can't be successful and have a harvest right now. Don't feel that you have to make all these changes in your life before you can have a harvest. That's not true either. Be you. Be unapologetically you. So you are the only one that there will ever be that's like you on this earth. Do you know that? No one else will ever have your same fingerprint ever. Did you know that? Think about all of the people that have ever been born before you and all the people that will ever come after you. There will never be another single person ever to walk this earth that has your same fingerprint. That is how incredibly unique and different you are, which tells me that God created you that specifically and that uniquely for a very special reason. You are the only one that can offer what you have to the world. Be unapologetically you. Don't be afraid of who you are. Be bold. Be who you are. God created you that way. There's a purpose for it. So your perspective, your wisdom, your humor, you're the only one who thinks like that, who sees life like that. Share that. Because no one else sees through your eyes. No one else thinks the way you think. Be unapologetically you. Be bold. Grow and change and mature, yes. But even in those growing times and even in those learning times, be you. And don't be afraid to share you with the world. That's what we do as coaches. So be unapologetically you. Practically applying these things, prioritizing, first taking a good look in the mirror, and then prioritizing, keeping things simple, and just being you, it's going to help you be disciplined in the areas of your life and your business that you need in order to see your harvest. It all comes back to harvest. So I hope this encourages you guys tonight. I hope this is something that has helped. It's been such a huge part of what I've been just journeying through myself the past, gosh, I don't know. It's been a while, but I think it all just came to a head in the past week or so. And as difficult sometimes as it is to walk through a season where you just aren't sure what needs to change, how to go about getting to where you want to be, it's those times that really grow you and prepare you. And I'll leave you with this one last thing. It's a principle that keeps coming back over and over again, and I'm reminded of it so much. It's hard to go through those valleys, and it's hard to go through the things that are creating discipline within us, creating those good habits, and it's hard to do the mundane sometimes. It's hard to walk through the valleys sometimes that we go through as we are dutifully walking in discipline, right? But it's those things that really create within us and develop within us the character that we need to appreciate our harvest. Please hear this. If you don't walk through the valleys, you're not going to really appreciate the view from the top. If you never experienced the climb that you had to take and the things that you had to do to get to that mountaintop, you won't appreciate it as much. You won't have built the skills necessary to stay on top of that mountain, whatever that looks like for you, whatever that mountain represents to you. But you go through experiences in life because it's supposed to develop character and integrity and the good qualities, the strength, the perseverance, the persistence, the dedication, all of those things, the perspective that you will need when your harvest comes in. So even if you're still waiting on a harvest, whatever that harvest may be for you, even if you're still in the waiting season where your seeds are budding, they're starting to sprout, you still have to nurture, you're not quite yet at the harvest season, know that even in this waiting period, this growing season, that you're being prepared to receive the harvest, and you are going to appreciate it so much more. So in this time, grow and prioritize and simplify and enjoy the journey. I'm learning again to enjoy the journey. I think I lost a piece of that. I think I got too wrapped up in just my focus was just kind of all over the place, everywhere. And now that I feel like I have a very specific focus and I know what I need to do for my life to prioritize things, to bring things back into perspective, I felt free for, I can't tell you how long it's been, but I just feel very free. I feel like I can move forward confidently. There's a boldness that I feel rising up inside of me that I can do exactly what I need to do because I know where I'm coming from. I hope that makes sense. But for me, it's that prioritizing the time in the morning with the Lord, knowing where everything fits in priority with my family, with my business and all that stuff. It's developing that routine that works for me, works for my family, that allows me to be the best coach, allows me to be the best mom, and be a better wife, a better friend, a better leader, all that stuff. So just know in the waiting, you're still growing and you're going to be prepared so that when you reach that harvest, it's going to be even more wonderful than you ever thought possible. All right, Zoom call is about to click off here. So I hope that you enjoyed tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the newsfeed because I know Kim is doing a live thing as well and I can hop on. But I'm going to go ahead and probably sign off Zoom here pretty quickly because it's going to end. But Kim, thank you so much again for inviting me to talk tonight. I'm excited to share this stuff with you. And I just hope you got something out of it. It was really funny to see my own face on the